Hey, what's going on? My mic was muted there. I don't know if I see someone hanging out, I think. I don't know if it's actually lying to me if someone's in here or not, but if you are hanging out, let me know if you can hear me. The music's too loud. Yeah. Gonna get started here in a second. I'm subjected to whatever music that YouTube's gonna let me do. Okay, so just camera check here. Cool. This is there. There's my watercolor palette. Alright, so I have no idea what I'm gonna paint. No clue. I haven't even thought about it. And when I did think about it, I didn't think of anything. So, hey, what's going on? Glad to see you here. Really appreciate you coming to hang out. And yeah, any ideas? I don't know. I figured maybe if I could get some people hanging out in chat that could think of something to paint. I don't want to spend too much time because the goal of every episode is we're going to finish the painting. Even if I have to make some quick decisions. In my past streams, I would often just not really put a limitation on that, but I don't know. Any ideas? What do you think? Maybe a volcano scene. How about a volcano scene? I haven't done one of those in a long time, actually. The last volcano scene I did was the Reykjavik volcano. I don't know if I pronounced that right. But when that was erupting in Iceland, I loved how it looked, so I painted that one. Well, I don't want to think about it too much, so I guess I'll just roll with that. Quick audio check. Can you hear me talking all right? You're my only hope of sound check. So to preserve the watercolors a little bit here. Sounds good. Great. Until I complete my sketch, I'm just gonna keep this closed. I got my gouache over here too, which is now used just as much as the watercolor. I would say it's just as much of a gouache painting, and I'm saying gouache because it's a little inside joke here with my friend in chat, Kirsten. But it's actually gouache. We all know it's gouache. Well, if it's a volcano, let's see. Just gonna start thinking about it here. I'm just gonna, and what I wanted to say was, I've enjoyed allowing the pencil to stay on these sketches. I like what the pencil adds. It almost kind of becomes its own little detail and becomes like slightly hidden, but then shows up in other areas. The last two volcano scenes I did were looking down on them, so I think I want to do a looking up on them. And in order to give the sensation of looking up, or the illusion that you're looking up, basically just the horizon line has to be closer to the bottom of the page. So I think, how about, because I don't want it to just be all orange and black, I think it would be cool to mix in sort of two worlds, maybe like a blue sky next to the volcanoes. I don't know, but I'm picturing one. I keep seeing one right here. It's in my mind's eye. I'm just gonna go with that. And I'm really not gonna think about it. Just going to scribble, but lightly. And so I'm gonna put the horizon line here. And so we're looking up. And let's say this is really giant. This isn't just like a 300 footer here. This is huge. So let's see. Already a little too much detail on it. I'm gonna maybe there's sort of a lake here or something. That's kind of like what happened on accident with this scribble, so I'm just gonna follow the scribble. Something like that. It's gonna be really squeezed because it the closer things get to the horizon curves, the more squished they get. Do something like that. And I'm seeing in my I want to see like some sort of a city. A little erupting there maybe. Let's just make this like epically huge. If I can pull it off, I don't know. Toss in a little city. Yes, of course. The old lake scribble. It's weird. It says there's 0 viewers here, but clearly you're here. So obviously the viewer count lies to me. So I'm not going to rely on that anymore. I'm kind of tossing in a little city here, just to give the volcano some perspective. So I'm picturing like, here's like those like power plants you see. There's gonna be one of those giant smokestacks, you know? And excuse me. Something like that. Or maybe I'll sketch out some of the smoke coming out of the smokestack. And yeah, I decided the wind is blowing that way, so it's kind of drifting. I'm a ghost. Oh, now it says there's 1 viewer. Maybe it just takes a while to register. Also, mind me on a late response, as while I'm drawing, the chat's over here, and I can't see it while I'm concentrated, but I'll try to remember to look over. I've had better chat setups in the past where the monitor is right in front of me and I don't have to keep looking back and forth. Because now that I've had a few streams under my belt, I've learned that when you're trying to paint, looking back and forth at the chat too much distracted me sometimes. But I don't mind, it's okay. Being a little too detailed for pencil, but I mean for like what I actually need to sketch out. Now I'm thinking, like, rather than this being a blast, it's just gonna be kind of like slowly flowing out of the top of the volcano. I think it'd be fun. There's like some harbor thing going on here. I honestly don't remember the last time I looked at harbor. I don't really have like a ship dock bay in my brain, so I'm just gonna make one up. So I don't know, some sort of structures, docks built out, right? Normally there's a dock kind of built out onto the water, and a little ship here. Ships have a very distinguishable shape. Something like that. It's actually a very big ship, to be honest. It's gonna go a little, it's gonna be a bit smaller. It's freaking huge. See, and I haven't really decided on the mood. I'm kind of torn between making it. I normally make it apocalyptic, but think it'd be fun to kind of make it beautiful. Like, rather than so dooming, it's kind of like I'm almost picturing like you have the volcano here, and then this is like a crazy sky, like crazy clouds, and like because the sun's so bright, it's creating a cool scene over here, hitting all the dust and ash. We can just make up our own ash colors. Is it ship shape? It's about to be, hopefully. That's where the gouache comes in handy. I would say the ships are about that big. Got a little carried away. So this is like a barge. It's got all the crates on it. And here's where I think allowing the pencil to stay on when I start to watercolor helps. Because those little crate indications are going to show through the transparent things and kind of already have some of the work done for me. And I'm not really trying to put a lot of work into those ships, just want them to know, indicate that they're ships. And this idea that has now developed has allowed for a watercolor trick that I've been practicing. I'm just going to do some kind of like current lines, not waves. I think it's easy to have a tendency of doing waves that are like really tiny with water, but because this water is so far away, if you ever see like a helicopter view of the ocean really high up, you can really only see these overall shapes of kind of big flows of water. So just a kind of low-key, chilled out, laid-back volcano vibe. Yeah, you know that chill vibe when you look over your front porch and there's a volcano erupting and you just kind of sit down and relax. That vibe. Yeah. Got a giant cloud of superheated ash racing towards your house, and it's super chill. So here's some more tide lines, and that's about it. The rest of the tide lines are going to come from the color and the watercolor edges, hopefully. Now, admittedly, watercolor is a very new medium for me. It's still this. It's every time I've painted with it recently, I've discovered something. So, and it's very unpredictable, and it always there's always a moment where, without fail, in every watercolor I've tried so far, there's a moment where something doesn't go my way because it's just the way that it falls on paper. Also, I have to change it, but there's a little bit of a tilt on my desk, and you'll notice on my palette here, all the colors kind of, float out to the bottom of the palette. So I gotta make this flat for watercolors. I realize your watercolor palette has to be flat because it doesn't sit on it like toothpaste, like thick acrylic paint does. Now, it must be cool if so if that's the city, I'm gonna keep adding some more buildings here. Sort of like, this will be like, this is the urban part of the city, And really, I'm just kind of making these little scratchy box lines to indicate that. Maybe there's like an apartment building. Another apartment building. And then I'm just kind of tossing in these like little gently rolling hills that provide some overlap. And we'll bring them out more with the paint and a little bit later on. Nice calm volcanic eruptions while you sip your morning coffee on your porch. Exactly. Makes me sleepy just thinking about it. Welcome, mysterious second viewer. Hope you're enjoying your night or day, wherever you are. I don't know who you are. I don't know when you hopped in, but this is working its way towards being a watercolor. And I have no idea how it's going to come out. I thought of the idea after the stream started. And I tend to make this series that way, just for fun. Challenge myself. And I pretty much overall have the sketch done. For the most part here. I think to keep the line art style going, let's see, this gets close enough, I think, over here. To where we'll start seeing little trees here. Just barely. Actually, in my mind's eye, I'm kind of wanting to see this as an overlapping foreground hill. And maybe, you know what, let's run off that porch idea there. So, there's gonna be a little ranch house right here. Kind of like you see way out in the Narrows of the Harpeth. Right there. And, you know, maybe a farm fence. Think of it as the farm fence that kind of. Get your little trees. Maybe these are cows in the field. Little dots. Cow dots. Cow dots. So, adding more trees. This is just a conspiracy, but I feel like every time I say hi to someone that comes in the chat, they get scared and run away. And the viewer goes away. But hey, so maybe I shouldn't put people on the spot, you know. They just want to privately hop in with those chill volcano vibes. And maybe the tree line slowly creeps up like that and then works its way over the hill right there. And we'll use the gouache to clean up and overlap all that pencil work when it's time. This is gonna be last. I haven't even thought about colors. I'm starting to think of them now. Let's see. Don't scare away your viewers. Trying not to. It's just a conspiracy anyway. Okay. Oh, we need a little more information over here. Gently rolling hill. And I'll continue some more of this city detail here. I added a little hill here, so I'm just gonna have it disappear behind that. Yeah, I did not even picture that this is what would appear on the paper. I think that's one thing that's always sort of I don't know. I don't want to use the word magical because there is a process, but it just always interests me. Like where does it come from? I don't think it's a single idea. I think, like I said earlier, it's like I learned so much from the scribbles. Kind of just putting scribbles down here and there, they end up turning into something. And I would say that a lot of the masters I've studied, they all just kind of scribble and find what they're trying to draw. And so I started copying them and seeing if I could experience the same things, and I feel like I am. So this is kind of like that big foreground hill right here that kind of makes the everything just gets sucked way out in the background. Maybe another one could even come right here and cut that ship off. Maybe it could even just be a person sitting on a chair, lawn chair right here, you know? Sort of like... Screw it. See if I can pull it off. So this will be even more of a foreground here. Actually, no, it's gonna cut off a little bit too much of the lake. Just the corner here. And if it doesn't work out, I can always change it. I will admit watercolor is a little bit fussier when it comes to like your decisions. Like, before you strike, like, ask yourself why. Alright, so I'll cut that ship off. And it doesn't look, it's not popping yet because there's no value. Value is going to really help this along here. If I do it right. The value map is something I'll be working on getting better at till the day I die. It's truly what separates a really good painting from, you know, it's always a sticky territory when you say good from bad. It's not really good from bad, just, I would say, readable from non-readable would be the way I would like to say it. So like what separates a readable painting from a non-readable painting is an extremely clear value map of lights and darks. If your value map is very readable, then it doesn't matter really what color you put on it. It'll make sense. For those darks, you could use purple, you could use any color. As long as it's staying true to that value map. Now, I'm just, this will be kind of a little field that the guy on the chair will be hanging out, watching the chill volcano vibes go down. And so I'm just putting some grass texture. And I can zoom in. I do have the power. If that makes it more enjoyable. Try it out for a minute. Oh, see, now it's not focusing. It's not focusing. It says focus locked. Okay, well, that's fine. We'll just stay with this view for today. Get fancier with the camera angle another time. Just make sure I'm recentered here. Okay. Now, thinking he's gonna be right here, chilling in the grass. In a t-shirt. Let's say it's a nice day. It's warm enough for a t-shirt. Chilling. Sitting in the grass. Let's give this guy one of those sort of winter hats. It's not like, you know, blazing hot outside, just fall weather. Enjoyable fall weather. That's enough. It's good for me. Alright, he's watching the volcano. I'm gonna give him his ear and jaw there. There. Alright. Finish up the grass. It's time to color. And see how fast we can do it. Quick decision making. That's what I want to get at. Nah. Being too the same with the grass here. There's something that's really hard to pull off with nature drawing, is that when things are the same, they can't be the same. So it's like grass is all the same sort of texture when you zoom out, but there's a way to kind of make no grass look like it's repeating. Because there's something weird about it that when things start looking like they're repeating, it doesn't look right in nature for some reason. It starts looking man-made. But if you want something to look man-made, then you repeat it, so. Hard right angles, edges, hard edges, very reflective surfaces. And so right here, I'm kind of just, I'm throwing a little breakup in the grass, or I'm picturing some brown color that's gonna happen with some dirt and some stones showing. And I'm just gonna fill this in with grass here. Another one. Maybe there's just a rock here in the grass. Overlap the front of the rock with some grass to lock it in to the ground. And I'll do the same thing here. Some little dirt patch. Some dots. Something like that. Okay. Light source. Thinking of my light source now. So there's gonna be two. So the tricky part about this that I'm starting to realize is I'm gonna have to separate. If I want a bright sky, I have to figure out how to separate that from the bright lava. I think just the mountains will have to be a very, very dark black sort of rock, as volcanoes are. But that'll give some really cool contrast to the lake and the grass. Well, thinking of the science of light, because there'll be a lot of ash and things scattering the light, the sky will be more red. So I'll make it a red sky. Okay. And I'm thinking right here, this sort of pseudo horizon line that cuts off the giant volcano in the distance. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna have the lava disappear behind that. I'm not sure the lava has made it to the city yet. And I'm kind of switching through some tunes here. Just trying to find one that's semi-enjoyable. Okay. This could kind of just be like what, a wetlands kind of? Be sort of like a wetlands, because we'll just say the elevation dips down. Okay. Now I'm thinking of my third tier. Point of interest on this smokestack and the guy, and then point of interest here on this foreground. So I guess I want my light source to kind of... Actually, it would be really cool if the light source was behind the smokestack cloud here, kind of interrupting it, and try to achieve that effect. Okay. Watercolor time. Got my water ready. Now I've tried to crop this camera shot up here so you have a reasonably close view of the palette, if you're wondering what I'm doing on that end of things. Okay. So the wash brush is what I would call it. It's big and moppy. It's actually even called the mop brush, I think, sometimes. So, just gonna get some water going. Gotta kind of wet them. I want to separate the color scheme of the sky from the color scheme of the volcano, but tie it all together at the same time too. I'm just deciding what's going to be the brightest spot in my painting, and it's going to be something right about here. So I'm mixing some yellow, and I'm just gonna steer the yellow towards red slightly. and I'm making this super light. One of the best things I learned in watercolor from a YouTuber once upon a time, I don't remember what YouTuber it was, but water is the equivalent of your white, like in other paints. And actually, I haven't set myself up a test paper here. I usually have a blank piece of paper on the side so I can just see what some of the colors look like. And the wash, from what I've learned with watercolor, it kind of decides your whole, it decides kind of what color everything's going to be. Okay, so. I want it to be more red, honestly. And I really don't care what happens. I'm just gonna roll with it. So I have that mix. I'm gonna let that sit there for a second on the palette. I'm gonna make a blue mix too. And I'm gonna use cerulean instead of ultramarine. And why? No reason. I guess because I used ultramarine in my last painting and I just want to see how cerulean does. So I usually like to separate warms and cools in my palette and bring them together in the middle. And just through experimenting, it's kind of where I ended up. So I'm just adding a lot of water to this blue. I want this to be really light. Really light to dark is a true principle in watercolor, I'd say. Acrylic, you kind of go to do whatever you want, but I find things play out a little bit better for me when I do light to dark. So that's kind of my blue I want it to blend to from my light source, in theory. And this is going to be a very, very background color, and then I'm going to layer the clouds from the volcano over this, and then layer the smokestack cloud over that. It makes sense in my head, but like I said, this stuff doesn't always go as planned. And I think as we just get to the edge of the paper, I'm going to toss in the slightest bit of red, so that get some purple there. And here we go. I'm just going to clean my brush, which thought I had a cloth ready to go, but I didn't. I'll fix that in a second here. Alright, grab my yellow and going to draw a circle kind of around where I want the brightest thing to be. And I'm doing little wispy motions with my brush because it's a little technique I've been trying to develop with clouds where the water kind of separates in this way. That does clouds for you and creates little highlights here and there. Now I'm going to slowly grab the blue, toss it in right here, and it will turn green, but I'm just going to let it happen. will turn green or it hits the yellow. I'm gonna let it hit the volcano a little bit here. We're gonna let it tap the edge of this mountain. And now, with some water, going back to the yellow, I'm gonna wash this grass here yellow too, because it's really gonna be getting hit by that sun. The volcano is not really a light source, but it's gonna be bright because lava is glowing red hot. And I'm gonna take a smaller brush really quick, just with water, and fuzz out that edge there a little bit. I'm not going to allow the water to gather and create that edge there. I'm not worried about it coming over this volcano yet, because I can just cover that. So that's pretty much the wash for there. I'm actually going to switch to a smaller brush now. Same thing, I'm going to wash this yellow. And before it's too late, here's the trick I mentioned earlier in the drawing. So I'm going to take this and mirror it right in the water here. So just like that. That white circle in the sky. I'm going to make sure this lake, same color as the sky. Like that. And if you get this a similar shape like that, it's supposed to make it look like there's a reflection. You tell me. So I'll do that. And it'll be my job to not mess it up by not interfering with this lake. Keeping it that, and then we can add highlights on it later. Okay. Now I have to ask myself, what else is the sun hitting? It's probably just tapping the top of that. So I'll just wash that whole thing yellow. And same thing here. And that'll end up being a different color anyway. What a random, try some music here. This one's called Underwater Exploration. Alright. I'm gonna take water again, just water, and massage away from the center of this white. Like that. And kind of allow the pure water to cut through the watercolor and create these white. If anything, I'll even just wipe with my finger like that. Because I don't want it to really be a circle. I want it to be this soft, bloomy sort of. And I found this effect's much harder to achieve with watercolor. Because watercolor likes to make these weird edges. Like over here, see that? The natural little weird edge that just happened? I'm going to take some... Actually, no, I don't. I just pure water. Blend that out. I'll even take a little blue, toss it in there. I haven't even painted over here. The slightest indication of a far, far distant cloud. Just really subtle layers of clouds back there is what I'm going for. I don't know if that's what it looks like to you. That's what I'm going for. And I already commit to this purple idea on the edge here. Trudging along was... That's a funny song name. Yes, the watercolor gets a massage. Lots of massaging for watercolor. Okay, and so here I'm just gonna roll with it and just allow all that to look like that. Okay. I'm gonna switch to a flat brush. Just hanging my brushes up here in my dip cup. You can't see it on any of the cameras. That's what I mean by a flat brush. It's relatively small. It's always the way the music goes. It's like some of these songs are mixed way hotter than other songs, so they're just, it's like I'll have the right volume and then the next song will be obnoxiously loud. Okay, so now volcano. I don't even know if this is gonna look right. This is already becoming an interesting value map here. So I'm gonna grab some Earl Grey. It's called Earl Grey. I don't know why. Maybe some guy named Earl invented it. It's like a blue gray. It's one of those like pre-made colors you can get in watercolor. And I'm gonna mix it with this cerulean blue and keep that away from my yellow. I'm just seeing what happens when I mix it with the yellow here on the bottom. Okay, I knew it gives us a sap green. I really want to make that sun pop. Like the tea. Need a little more black. A little too saturated. Although watercolors are fun because they're always so saturated. I am a desaturating painter. I do like to use a lot of grays. Okay. So I think I just need to get more opaqueness here. No, I don't want to go too dark. But here we go. Again, I am making this a monstrous volcano. And I'll admit to you, I have no idea how this is gonna play out here. Just hoping for the best. I want to be careful of this edge here. And I'll let the tower overlap. Trying to be mindful of my highlights. This song is ridiculous, huh? It's very random from song to song here. No, I'm not letting any of the detail in here bother me. I'm just really just slapping it on. And I'll start establishing some edges. Pretty drastic change of music from the last song, eh? I'm kind of seeing another part here that can be erupting, maybe. Something like that. Maybe if I just let it go above the frickin' paper, who cares? It'll look more vast. Maybe it won't, maybe it'll ruin it, I don't care. There we go. Okay. Now, going to darken the backside of the volcano a little more here. One thing about watercolor is it dries a lot. It dries the opposite of whatever it is. So if it's a real dark color you're putting on there, it's going to be lighter than when you put it on when it dries. Not everything's going my way right now with this paint, I'll be honest. But I'm just gonna let it work. And maybe this can be a sort of mist thing. Figure it out. This is almost like an impossibly big volcano. Titan sized. Okay, now gonna make some sort of green blue here. And I'm being careful on these hills to keep that yellow highlight on the edge there. And maybe right there too. The edge between that and the volcano ain't quite right yet. But let's see if I can fix that. It's just gonna be a somewhat clean edge. There we go. That one can cut off there because it's behind it. The sun ain't gonna be hitting over there. And then I'll clean up this edge here too. Let that hit there. It's basically like the initial wash rules all, and then you decide where you want that wash to show for like highlights and stuff. That's how I've been doing it anyway. I'm cutting to the mountain there. Same thing here. Something like that. Maybe it kind of just seems like the water kind of separates there on the bottom. Separates the two mountains. That looks a little more cleaned up. And I'm going to let the mountain dry. It's like a super soaked part of the paper here, but when that dries, it'll allow me to use some gouache. Appreciate you hanging out, Kirsten. Hope you're having a lovely night. over at the apartment. Can't believe this snow hasn't melted yet. I mean, it has a little bit. But, yeah, wow. So as this land comes closer here, now I'm being really careful not to touch this lake. I almost want a smaller flat brush here, which I don't seem to have. I have one over here somewhere. I think that could do. Sometimes with watercolor too, I end up finding I have to change my water because the colors really affect each other. So cerulean blue and some of this yellow. Playing Skyrim, nice. Hell yeah. Hell yes. And guess I'll just take some of this gray over here and mix it in this blue. Paper test. Needs a little bit more gray in there. Sure, I like the color I've picked. I'm second guessing myself. Decided to go for it anyway. I have to make the edge really apparent between this color and the lake. I'm trying to get it just the slightest bit darker so that those hills appear farther than right now. The volcano's too detailed. I'll attempt to fix that. Here's another lake edge. Scariest part, because that's right where the sun is. Alright. What would Bob Ross say? He always make me laugh. He'd say, like, this is your test of courage, or it's like it's time for your bravery test or something. Like anytime you had to make a big move, a big decisive moment in your painting. Okay. think probably like out of every 10 paintings I do, I get one that I actually like. Just trying to make this line even here. What you doing in Skyrim? You in a cave? You doing some side quests? So now I'll let it saturate more. And I'm not even gonna care, I'm just gonna let this happen here. So for atmosphericness, not only do you change the saturation, or not only do you change the detail, make it more detailed, you increase the saturation, brings it forward as well. Still allowing this green to be quite grayed out, or transparent, which in turn is allowing the white of the paper to show through, which is the same as mixing white, more or less. And I'm just gonna color this little house in here green for now, but I'll get to that. I'll get back to that and when it's time. That's a gouache moment where it can overlap with the opaque gouache. Okay. Now I'm going to take this sort of dark mixture I got going on over here again and block in some of these little buildings. But actually, before I do that, I'm going to paint over them with this. That's too dark. Little trick if you accidentally put too much darkness